Climb the hill just to slide back down. Built a tower, but it hit the ground. I gave my heart till it bled and broke. Every try feels like a cruel joke. I'm running circles, chasing air. Every road leads to nowhere. If I give up now, I will indeed lose it all. Throw my dreams to the wind, watch them shatter, watch them fall. If I give up now, there's no fight left to recall. But I'll keep on crawling till I'm standing tall. Failure's a train that won't slow down, a roller coaster in a ghost town. I've poured my soul into every crack, but the echoes only push me back. The clock's a thief, it won't rewind, but I can't leave what's still mine. If I give up now, I will indeed lose it all. Throw my dreams to the wind, watch them shatter, watch them fall. If I give up now, there's no fight left to recall. But I'll keep on crawling till I'm standing tall.
Hi, good evening. Greetings from your end, wherever you are joining from. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome to this, guys. Wherever you are joining from, I know that we were trying to basically, get everything in order. Sometimes we struggle with this studio, but I believe we are back around where everything is in order. That's great. That's great. Kindly share the video wherever you're watching from. Share the video wherever you're watching from. So today we are going to talk in real life those things we've been doing on some of these short video, because it does not enable us to basically explain what in, you know, we couldn't explain them to make, for the sake of clarity, right? So that's why we are live today, to talk about some of these inconsistencies that we have, noticed, especially in the on Nnamdi Kanu's verdict that was given, and then his recourse that we are expecting from the appellate court, because there are judiciary you see today. I want you to understand that judiciary is a hope of a common man. Judiciary in all parts of the world, it's a hope for a common man. But in a situation where judiciary becomes a weapon for a common man, that means that there is no more hope for a common man, other than the common man eventually maybe, find a way to rise up to defend themselves, understanding that their hope and their, is gone. So if judiciary of Nigeria want to work, and the judges that are actually presiding over this judicial system in Nigeria, if they want to do their job diligently, number one, every judge should understand that courtroom is not their private business. Proceedings in the court is not their private, business, that they have to lay the rules that the proceedings must follow. They have to come up with some rules, but to a certain point, because inside every court, there is already a premeditated rule that governs every courtroom, that governs the proceedings in the courtroom. It is not about the emotions of the judge. Even if the judge is angry with you, the judge must follow the protocols, the procedural rules of the court. So that is exactly what I am going to touch on, and now to highlight the inconsistencies that I have actually been writing down, noticed, the more I actually try to look at those cases or those judgments that was passed. So in this regard, from this, we're going to now determine, in a working judicial system, hypothetically, because what we do is hypothetical. We're not saying that this is exactly what we're going to expect from the Nigeria judiciary, because we know that Nigeria judiciary mostly does not take the procedural, they don't take they are not following the procedure of the courtroom. They are following the rules made by their emotions. Hence, I said that we are going to be hypothetical about whatever we are going to say today, and it is going to give you highlights on the things you must have missed, or you might have missed, going on during that time of verdict. So, and then we are going to touch on the issue of transferring Nnamdi Kanu to Sokoto. In as much as we have said a lot about it, but now the transferring of Nnamdi Kanu to Sokoto is also unlawful, because now they are trying to make sure that the accused, I always call him a client, accused does not have access to fair hearing. Number one, the accused is now the one defending himself. The accused should have access to even go for appeal. So if the accused is not represented, that means the accused should be given more access to the court, where he is going to eventually file his appeal. And, because the accused, of course, knows that everyone knows that the accused is basically going to appeal court to appeal the judgment. Now, if the accused is now in of the jurisdictional court is in Abuja, now how will the government be transporting the accused from Sokoto to Abuja? Number one, it places the life of the accused in danger because there is a lot of insecurity in Nigeria. So that insecurity in Nigeria is now also a problem because whilst transporting the accused all the way from Sokoto to Lagos, be it by road, be it by any means, there could be a problem because Nigeria insecurity is on it's actually on, it is gaining, traction. It is not, it is exacerbated. So that's why I am saying, and another thing is that Nnamdi Kanu being in Sokoto prison, whilst his jurisdiction is supposed to be at Abuja, or the court that he's supposed to file appeal is in Abuja. Now you now talk about wasteful expenditure that are actually, incurred by the government, because the government is now investing in a wasteful expenditure. They should have kept Nnamdi Kanu in a prison that is close to the court so that he will have access to courtroom. But instead, they transferred him because it is an instruction given to the judge to transfer him to the Sokoto, where he always talk about Sokoto Caliphate, so that they will transfer him there and make mockery of him and show him who is the boss. It is not about, because the problem I have is that Nigeria is supposed to be a liberal nation. Nigeria is supposed to be a country of democracy. Nigeria is supposed to be a country where people have, are entitled to their opinion, because what brings about all this frustration and all these things, or sometimes we get emotional, we say a lot of things out of frustration, because there is a way that the system will frustrate you. They will frustrate you into saying things that you might even regret later. But in this regard, the system will continue to frustrate you. So if the system has been frustrating Nnamdi Kanu from 2015, when he started advocating and protesting against the insecurity and the killing, mostly in the northern Nigeria. The video evidence is there. When he started this journey, he started with protesting in London. In the street of London was where Nnamdi Kanu started protesting against the injustices meted on the Nigerian people, protesting against the insecurity that is happening mostly in the northern Nigeria, the abductions of girls in the northern Nigeria, and the prosecution of Christians in the northern Nigeria. He used his time and protested about all these things and called the Nigerian government to actually intervene to make sure that these things, people feel safe. And he said that time that if this thing is unaverted, if this thing is not averted, that it is going to make Nigeria to be worse than Somalia. He said it in 2015 when he repeatedly, and what the judge was repeating verbatim, that Nnamdi Kanu made a broadcast saying that Nigeria will be worse than Somalia. He said that in his protest 2015, if Nigeria is not going to have the political will to fight insecurity, and the insecurity moves in the pace that it is moving, that Nigeria is going to end up worse than Somalia. When he was saying that nothing is being done and was frustrated, he said to everyone that you should go and get your Somalia visa, because Somalia will be worse than Nigeria. Nigeria will be worse than Somalia, because that is exactly the same thing that he said during the protest peacefully and being a patriotic Nigeria as at that time. So those are some of the things that they use to nail Nnamdi Kanu. And exactly, you cannot use a video, a voice, not a video, right? A voice that you heard of someone saying those things that a court was using. It is not material evidence. Those things can be doctored. Those things can be created. AI is involved all over the place. So the court cannot use that as admissible evidence alone, because the fair hearing is that you must prove beyond every reasonable doubt that this accused is guilty. So you cannot use immaterial evidence to nail someone because they can be doctored. Now, in this regard, when Nnamdi Kanu assumed a role of self-representative, that means Nnamdi Kanu has given the judge extra job to do. If the judge knows exactly what the procedures is, immediately when an accused person decided to say, no, I am not going to be represented by anyone, I am going to represent myself, it broadens the judge's work. It makes the judge's work, it expands it in a way that the judge need now to guide this person how not to get caught up within the proceedings of the law. It is the duty of every judge to make sure that an accused person have a fair hearing, except if the judge is biased. Because a biased judge, just like we saw the frustration that was in that Judge Omotoshe, on that day of delivering judgment, it was born out of frustration. We saw what happened, and Nnamdi Kanu was not wrong when he asked the judge, show me the law, written law that I have violated. That means if you show him the written law that he has violated, he's no longer with the lawyer, right? So he has every right, because his job of self-representation is going to now broaden the job of the judge so that he will be given a fair hearing. In failing to do so, that case was not actually in that proceedings did not actually allow Nnamdi Kanu to have a fair hearing, because the judge did not do what he needed to do as a judge. The only thing the judge did was advising the accused to get a lawyer. Advising the accused to get a lawyer is one of it, but it is not all of it. You must actually guide the accused immediately when they say they are going to self-represent. You need to guide them. You need to show them this is your problem. This is where you have violated in the Constitution, because you are the judge presiding over this thing. How do you represent yourself? How do you defend yourself in order to mitigate getting caught up in this political dilemma? Now, the judge refused to show him where he might have violated in the Constitution, because the judge has a premeditated, conviction or premeditated judgment that has already been given to him. Therefore, anything and everything that was done in that courtroom is just a waste of time. Nnamdi Kanu discovered the bias in the judge. He decided to represent himself so that this case will finish quickly, because no matter what they do, everywhere they turn is the same way. Everywhere they turn is the same way. Nowhere is leading to any success, because the judge is already biased. The judge is not willing to listen to the complaints of the accused, which is also procedural error, because as long as the Constitution of Nigeria section 36 grants you the right to fair hearing, the judge must make sure that the Constitution of the country is upheld by making sure there is a fair hearing in Nnamdi Kanu's proceedings, legal proceedings. But instead, the judge did not consider those things. The judge was angry. The judge was angry because Nnamdi Kanu kept on telling him that you are supposed to show me the law that I have violated, the written law that I have violated, that I will plead guilty or not guilty, or I will defend myself. It is your duty, Omotosho, to show him you are the presiding judge and he is without representative or without a lawyer. So your job has broadened. You cannot overrule that which an accused person is demanding from you as a judge. If you are not biased, there is no way you couldn't show him the law that he has violated. That is also going to fall under procedural inconsistencies within the appeal court, negotiation. Because if we consider all these things now, we go to appeal court. If we are able to get a judge that is unbiased, first of all, the unbiased judge is going to look into the proceedings within the lower court. Proceedings within the lower court to see if there are any procedural inconsistencies. As long as there is a procedural inconsistencies, it's either the appeal court will now say that the case is nullified or the judgment is nullified. It cannot stand as long as there is a procedural inconsistencies that is perceived. Maybe he will send them back to the lower court, or he will. Appeal court has the authority to, nullify the judgment and even discharge Nnamdi Kanu. Having seen all these, challenges that is surrounding the case and the inconsistencies that is surrounding the case, the appeal court can nullify that judgment in one stand. But the problem we have in Nigeria, it's not as if there are no procedures that are set aside for every judicial system to follow. But the problem is that the people, the past deviation. That is exactly the reason why you will never have access to a fair hearing in Nigeria. And that is the reason why Nnamdi Kanu will never have access to a fair hearing in Nigeria. Now, when we talk about, we're going to now outline again the procedural inconsistencies that occur during Nnamdi Kanu's legal proceedings. Now, we are hearing about political solution. It will now sound as if they prepared or they planned that Nnamdi Kanu must be convicted at all costs, so that when we are now moving into political solution, it will be as a leverage that you are a convicted criminal that is pardoned by the president. That is the angle that they have actually, set this case to follow, so that the case will eventually converge at the office of the president, whilst the president is using that as a leverage to hype his political interest and also against Nnamdi Kanu, so that they will find a way to shut him up from speaking or curtail his movement in the agitation for self-determination. That's actually the plan, and that's what I am seeing. But in this regard, how is the judiciary going to make this error before the international communities, because the whole world is watching, and every day they will say that Nnamdi Kanu calls Nigeria a zoo. But you are behaving like a zoo where there is no law and order. Even if there is law and order, what are those who are presiding over these laws? How is their state of mind? Are they free? Are they liberal? Are they selfless? Are they having, are they affiliated with any interest? What is their interest? They are not supposed to have or possess any interest as long as you are trying an individual who is not guilty until proven in the court of law. And before you prove a person guilty in a charges such as that, with a charge of such magnitude, they call it reasonable felony, terrorism. In the charge of such magnitude, before you prove, you sentence somebody, there must be a reason beyond any reason or evidence that is beyond any reasonable doubt, material and immaterial. But we saw immaterial evidence that they used to sentence Nnamdi Kanu. Then again, there was a lot of mentioning of case laws that happened in the United States. When we talk about a reference to a case law, the judge himself actually making references of the United States case laws. That's also questionable because the jurisdiction is in Nigeria. You cannot make reference of United States case laws because United States Constitution and Nigeria Constitution, they are not the same. Right? They are not the same. So you're making a reference of case laws in the United States to actually judge an individual in Nigeria is also another issue, because when you talk about case laws, borrowing a case law from international or external jurisdiction, that is going to be a reference. It is not supposed to be part of the judgment. It can be during the argument in court, not be you making reference, judge making references of the case law of the United States in the judgment being passed. Now, we can say that case laws borrowed from other jurisdiction or other countries can just be a reference and not be used as a material or substantive, for lack of a better word, it cannot be used in sentencing of an individual. I can make reference of case law of in the United States because in this regard, whilst I am defending myself or the lawyer will make reference of that, it is not that reference, making that reference is not actually going to permit a judge or convince a judge to jail someone just because there was a case law in the United States. Now, if we talk about the case laws that is supposed to be very, very, important in that case, it's supposed to be a case laws that occurred in Nigeria because we are using Nigeria Constitution. And if you make reference to that case laws that is similar to Nnamdi Kanu's case, and now you say that the decision of the judge was so, and so, and now that it should apply in the case of Nnamdi Kanu. Now, where is the case laws that looks like Nnamdi Kanu's case that was executed impartially? Now you talk about, I didn't hear yet about the case law. Maybe I haven't gotten to that point where I will hear a case law reference to Nigeria. But as I, for one, I haven't seen yet, I haven't heard the case laws in that judgment, even though I haven't gone through it, or the part that I have actually seen, I did not hear any case law referencing to Nigeria. I heard case laws referencing to United States. I heard case laws on the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the labeling of terrorism derived from Federal Bureau of Investigation. I heard those ones, but in this regard, we also heard about those case laws, but If Nigeria are sure of what they are trying Nnamdi Kanu of, if Nigeria is not confused, the case laws, we're supposed to hear more of case laws from Nigeria, not from the United States. Now, when we talk about the issue of jurisdiction, you discover that that issue of jurisdiction is also an issue that can nullify a case of this nature. Now, because if you talk about Nnamdi Kanu going to Kenya and then Nnamdi Kanu being kidnapped in Kenya, Nigeria government has violated international laws, and it is immoral to go to equity with unclean hands, because that means Nigeria government came to equity with unclean hands by going to break a law internationally and now come back to now penalize an individual or prosecute an individual who is presumed to have broken the law locally. You now see the conundrum, because if we are supposed to follow the legal procedure, you first of all tackle the issue of jurisdiction, because no one breaks the law to get the law to be, to make the law, to uphold the law. It's either you are breaking the law or you are upholding the law. You cannot have both served in a platter. Nigeria have violated international laws. Nigeria have violated the human right of this individual. So now the court first, decision was to ascertain whether or not the right of an individual is violated before any proceedings against the individual. If the right of the individual is violated, then the recourse will be issued to the individual. Then we now talk about jurisdiction. When we talk about jurisdiction, does Nigeria have jurisdictional mandate to proceed with this case? If it does not have the jurisdictional mandate to proceed with the case, now the case will be nullified. But procedural inconsistencies, did you hear that? All these things fall under procedural inconsistencies. Now we talk about trial under a repeal law. A primary, the primary, if you want to talk about this, you will now understand that the charges against Nnamdi Kanu were filed under Terrorism Prevention Act 2013. Are you aware of that? Repealed law, Terrorism Prevention Act 2013, which was actually repealed and replaced by the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition of Act 2002. Now, Nnamdi Kanu was arguing with the judge that trying him under a dead law is unconstitutional and renders the judgment nullity. What did the judge do? The judge took the courtroom as his personal business. Because you have hurt my emotion, I will undermine every procedures that is supposed to follow to make sure you obtain fair hearing. So there is a bias due to personal feelings and due to political affiliation. Or perhaps there is a bias if Omotosho is a Muslim. We could actually also question his integrity, or whether his bias is derived from religious affiliation. These are the things that need to come into play. I forgot to look up whether or not Omotosho is a Muslim or Christian, because we know very well that all this speech made by Nnamdi Kanu was pointing at terrorism, and those who are the perpetrators are mostly affiliated with Islamic religion. They are affiliated with Islam, or he is an Islam, a Muslim. Could he be biased due to religious affiliation, or could it be biased due to political issues, or could it be biased due to personal vendetta against the Nnamdi Kanu? That means he will send him. All these things, there is a whole lot. They disregard the appellate court judgment. Now, the appellate court judgment stated that there is no court that will try Nnamdi Kanu because he has no jurisdiction. He was released from the appeal. Didn't Nnamdi Kanu go home? No. Nnamdi Kanu, the same way that they released him in 2022, that is the same way from going to Sokoto prison. Because they refused him from going home, knowing that they are going to manipulate the source from the executive, have already planned that they are going to be in charge of the apex court of the land. Hence, release him. Because you cannot tell the outcome of the judgment delivered by the appellate court. You cannot know the decision of the Supreme Court because you haven't started appealed to Supreme Court to stay execution. The court order must be obeyed, otherwise Nnamdi Kanu his stay of execution was violating or in the contempt of court order. Who is paying the price of the contempt? No one. Above, make sure that he shaped to let it to dance to their tone, even though they were violating and in the contempt of a court order, which actually stated that Nnamdi Kanu is discharged and acquitted from all these charges leveled against him because Nigeria has no jurisdiction to try him. They undermine that soil, just like they undermine the international laws that governs extradition procedures. Just like that, they undermine the appeal court to keep a decision. It is not done. The issues that Nnamdi Kanu should stay execution, that will bring about the rearrest of Nnamdi Kanu, right? That's where the rearrest of Nnamdi Kanu is going to the Supreme Court. I hope I'm still coming out clear. As long as the Supreme Court itself did not, and then Nigeria government undermined the Supreme Court's jurisdiction and the Supreme Court authority, and they decided to override it by still keeping Nnamdi Kanu in detention. What is that telling us about the conduct of the Nigeria governors, of the judicial systems, and the decisions made by judicial system? Is it binding, or we see our judicial system as a toothless bulldog. They just bark without their backing being brought the court to become. A court have eyes. A court has eyes. It can see religious line. That is the reason why they undermine the Court of Appeal judgment in 2022. That is one of the procedural error before going to very, very important when it comes to all these legal proceedings. Illegal rendition. The illegal rendition nullifies the legal, bindings that holds Nnamdi Kanu to stand trial in Nigeria. They subjected to checkmate. But the worst of them all is denial of fair hearing. Denial of fair hearing. Lawyers under surveillance in the DSS custody, it is enough to compel an accused to say, I am going to defend myself, because he never had enough time to meet with his lawyers in several occasions whilst the court proceedings was on, right? That is exactly one thing. So, high court conduct, the fact that they did not, that the judge where an accused is defenseless, or where the accused is unrepresented, the judge did not pick up his accused as basically, commanded by the Nigeria Constitution 1999 as amended, Section 36. Now, since we do not have that access beyond reasonable doubt that Nnamdi Kanu committed this crime, yet they jailed him. So, if this case goes to appeal court, the God-fearing office to make sure that the rule of law this case and this judgment will be squeezed, what it will nullify should be, because we have a lot of things that contradict that judgment, contradicts that judgment that was given by the Federal High Court, Abuja. So I will leave the issue of cost there. Wasteful expenditure to bring fear. Remember that Nnamdi Kanu has been sentenced, right? Yes. But the case is not done. As long as the accused is opting to go through an appeal court. Court can overrule by the Omotoshe. It can be overturned by the appeal court. And what then? And they go asking, because this seems like the government wants this issue to start and so that there will be a conviction, so that saga to shut him up for good, since he's refused government to stop his self-determination or agitation. Remember the agitation from the federal government. It was not born because of his selfish reasons. It was born because facing in these things and to intervene. You called him a miscreant, a person, an individual who is a bona fide citizen of a country, now is crying out to the government to intervene in these, problems that are ordinary people are facing in the country. You called him a miscreant, as if he is not. It doesn't, as if it doesn't matter. Every individual and the voices of everybody in Nigeria matters. As long as we are under democratic dispensation, even during a military citizens that have the equal share as you military regime, you have that share that they have. Tomorrow the same thing. People are being unalived left, right, and center by religious extremists. Now the police and the army are actually personally protecting the elites and the rich people. Why do you think insecurity is going to cease to exist when the government is being protected by thousands of police? Individuals who are rich is protected by thousands of police, which also promote inequality in the land. Because now, if you are not rich enough to pay or hire police to protect you, you are going to die. With the Nigeria situation as we see it today. So the police is now protecting individuals instead of protecting the nation. Police is now behaving as a bodyguard to politicians' children, politician friends, and the rich people in the society, forgetting that they do not have the capacity to do that and protect the nation or the nation's integrity from any threat, external and internal. But because they do not care, all they care about is money. Nigeria is a country where if you want to call police, you pay money to get police to arrest a criminal that is bothering you. You pay money to police for them to immediately act to come and arrest a criminal that is bothering you in your area. It is only Nigeria. You go and pay money to police, as long as I know, or as far as I know, to come and arrest people. You can go and pay money to a police to come and arrest, innocent people. I was a victim when I was 17 in Nigeria. I was 17 at school, hustling. They came to where we were hustling, where we were doing our business. I was doing phone technology of all this software, hardware on phones. Police came to the place where our shops are. You know what they did? They started picking up everybody in that line. They picked up everybody. They didn't even ask us, what is your age? Are you old enough to be in police holding cell? Dude, these guys traumatized me. I got traumatized because I was thinking I was a big boy, being a working class schoolboy. I was a working class schoolboy. It is just like just like that every scratch, we don't actually depend on anyone. Once you are of age, like you know what money is, you need to make that money yourself. You don't need to wait for your parents or your guardians to basically sponsor you on anything you want to do, just to be independent on time. That is our behavior. Then I went and learned these things, and I was doing it while going to school. I was also a photographer while going to school. I was just, multitasking. Then police came, pick up all up. I did not know what I did. I did not know what was going on. I did not know exactly the reason. Do you know what they did to us? They placed us in detention. They claim it is detention first. You know this issue of I follow and I no follow. That was a long time ago. I was traumatized. I said to myself, this country, I hate you because you've happened to me. I spent 5 good days in police detention. We were not taken to court because it was illegal arrest. If it was legal arrest, we were supposed to be taken to court, right? 48 hours. If it is March, 72 hours, we should be presented before the judge and judge us. But we were not taken to court. They were just looking forward to extort money from us. They detained us without anything, without questioning, without anything. I was traumatized when I got into the police custody. The only thing I remember that I did was that I had to pay 2,000 naira so that I don't go into cell 1 where these motherfuckers are. I had to pay that money. It was what I was lucky the money was with me when I got arrested. I have to pay it so that I don't go to where those dangerous criminals. I was placed in an open cell, but I had to pay bribe first. Think about it. When I got into this open cell, I was put in a toilet because I don't have cell show. I never had cell show. I didn't even know what it was because I had to use all the money that I had to bribe the police to make sure that I did not go into cell 1. Now, at the end of the day, when I got into the cell, I saw a 17-year-old. Sorry, I was 17. I saw a 15-year-old child inside the holding cell with a criminal. A 15-year-old child. By then, I don't even know my right. I didn't know the right that protects me. I didn't know because you can't learn these things in school. Then I asked myself, if a 16-year-old child or a 15-year-old child thereabout was inside the jail, it gave me confidence to recover from my trauma. At least I have a fellow child here that I can relate to. It messed up with my mind. I spent 5 days in the holding cell. I had to pay how much? My family had to pay 50,000 to the police for us to go. And we left after paying this 50,000. If you don't come up with 50,000, you stay there. We were in the holding cell, all of us. Whoever that put up 50,000, they go home. If you don't put up that money, you stay there. If your parents are poor, if you have no one to call for you, you will be languishing there. They will forget you there. Because number one, they don't give you food. They don't give you a toilet roll. There is nothing that they are spending on you. You are the ones making sure that you are provision for everything you want in that holding cell, right? That's why, by the Constitution of Nigeria. Now we were traumatized. I said to myself, I will not make sure that insecurity, injustice, and we're not going back. If this is what is going to take our lives, we are ready for it because our life has been taken away and placed by trauma. When that I had to find a way to run away from Nigeria. In fact, I don't want to hear anything of 19. After that, incidents, I said to myself, even going to work and going to school in Nigeria for me because I couldn't focus. Whenever I see the cell, you have to salute in the next, what when you know that you are hitting it right the way holding cells without happen. What transpired? They didn't even tell us what umbrella, and the table inside the market, my laptop, my computer, my generator, they never cared about my properties. At least if it is, they should have confiscated those things or taken those things so that when I am done, they will give me the rule of law or the rule of my property. That is my means of livelihood. They have ruined. So I can categorically restore the something while they were growing up or along the way that triggered it. It is not just for doing it. It is see somebody and the police behavior, DSS behavior, military behavior, civil defense, yellow fever, all of them, their behavior shows why I am insisting on at least my take in this. Now let's go to Ojus Okalo. Or claim that Nnamdi Kanu, that video. I'm going to play that video of Ojus Okalo. I think I put it together. I recorded it. At the screen. Most of the reason why they do this things, they copyright. Where is this video? Now, let's listen to Ojus Okalo.
Legally, when we focus solely on Nandekalo, we have to solve this problem. Police, people that have their shop and no shops, people in manufactured product or manufactured product in Abia, in Aba.
Ojus
I
Okalo.
know what the numbers were, and the people are just talking about soldiers killed and all the rest of them. There are many people that lost their jobs. There are many people that lost their jobs, and nobody talks.
First of all, we might say you are correct. We can also say you have the data, the evidence. Ojus was unalived by the terrorist that you are part and parcel I am saying that we have seen a lot of evidences pointing at the vice president of Nigeria being part and parcels of this, shenanigan, or I wouldn't call it shenanigan, it is very serious, part and parcel of the indictment of those who are aiding and abetting terrorism, because we have an evidence the terrorist that was found in his home or traced back to his home, yet he was made a vice president. And then Ojus Okali, you are part of that party that made a terrorist accomplice a vice president of the country. Ojus Okalo, you are part and parcel of the Nigeria problem, because you were a governor and you were not able to protect lives and properties. Instead, because of your power intoxication, you unalived, many of our people. Now again, Ojus Okalo, you are a politician in Nigeria aspiring to be the first citizen of Nigeria. Ojus Okalo, you are now, as a person who is aspiring to be the president of Nigeria, yet in the denial of the predicament that befalls your people. Are you in any way suggesting that the agitation that was started by Nnamdi Kanu peacefully, and people like you, Ojus Okalo, decided to create a parallel criminals that will now destroy the movement just because you do not want your power or your interest to be undermined by people, so that they will continue to see you as as their God? Because Nnamdi Kanu opened the people's eyes to know that they can question the authority, and it is within their right to question the authority. And I noticed that Ojus Okalo, you never liked it. You never liked it to be like that. You just wanted to be the man that is always recognized. That's why your brother Peter Obi was gunning for presidency and your party did not give you a ticket for that. Instead of you coming up to support your own person, because you know that Igbo presidency has never been allocated to Igbo man prior to the time of independence or post the Civil War. Ojuzo Carlo, what is exactly the things that you will say that you have achieved for the people of Abia State, Ojuzo Carlo, that will not make people to be disgruntled? Ojuzo Carlo, you watch the politicians that you were part of. You watch the politicians that you were part of in Nigeria, APC, Hope Uzodinma, APC. Check the amount of people that have died in Imo State. Some of them he came up to tell you that it is politically motivated because it touched him. He knows that if he lie about it, those criminals who are using the disguise of IPOB or Nnamdi Kanu sent, they will continue to kill his fellow politicians. Then at some point he will be insignificant or unprotected. That's why Hope Uzodinma had to confess that the Gulag's murder was as a result of political rivalries. He confessed. So Ojuzo Carlo claiming that Nnamdi Kanu's agitation took the life of 30-something thousand Igbos. Where are you basing those accusations on? Are you saying that Nnamdi Kanu killed 30-something thousand Igbos? Or are you saying that Nnamdi Kanu, who is living in Britain, unalive 37,000 people, but there is no trace of Nnamdi Kanu giving anybody gun? There is no trace of Nnamdi Kanu being involved in weapon or in sale of weapon or buying of weapon. That is exactly the reason why Simon Ekpa was nailed today, because he was directly involved in procuring weapon, mostly from Boko Haram, right? Is there any way you see that Nnamdi Kanu violated the, buying of weapon or giving people gun, or just because Nnamdi Kanu said that people should do, then people did? He did not do it himself. Now let's compare you with Gumi. Gumi is a great man compared to you, Ojuzo Carlo. Gumi is a great man. And the reason why I say Gumi is a great man to compare to you, Ojuzo Carlo, Gumi knows what he wants. Gumi is standing firm for his people in the bush. Gumi is standing firm, telling Nigeria exactly what is going on. It is up to you to acknowledge it. It is your problem. Because in Nigeria, if you want to be respected, you know that thing you want, you advocate for it consistently without any, fear of anybody. Gumi is a great man for his people. Ojuzo Carlo, you are a terrorist. In fact, when we put Gumi in front now and say choose Gumi to Ojuzo Carlo, I will select Gumi. Because he's a great man representing his people. Whether or not they are terrorists or criminals, that is a topic of another time. Gumi come to tell us that we should not allow anybody to buy weapons to kill their brothers in the bush. Right? So why do you think if they give support to their brothers in the bush that are unaliving Christian, Ojuzo Carlo, why do you think ever that their brothers in the bush will eventually try to turn against them? That is their brothers in the bush. They will never turn against the Muslim or the Fulani. They will always face the target. But because you, Ojuzo Carlo, saw your brother Nnamdi Kanu advocating for equality advocating for right to self-determination, advocating for ordinary person to have a voice in Nigeria, advocating for good governance, advocating for improvement in the security cluster, advocating for all that, Orji Uzor, advocating for the right of the Eastern region to be duly given to them, and calling for regional government which will grant you power to be like a president in Abia State, Orji Uzor. But because you want to answer first citizen of the country, due to your selfish aggrandizement, you undermine that voice in the wilderness that is calling for equity. Orji Uzor, remember that he who goes to equity must go with a clean hands. You do not have a clean hands. You do not stand a chance to determine who is guilty or who is doing it right, because you've been in the government ever since I began to be, I became aware. You've been in politics. What impact have you made or make in that place where you come from, that people will rise up tomorrow to say, Orji Uzor, when he was a governor of Abia State, that these things happen and it shall never be forgotten. Orji Uzor, where is it? Nothing, but you are gunning for first citizen to be the Nigeria president. You are not going to be Nigeria president to represent Nigerians. You are going there to represent yourself, your selfish benefit. Therefore, Orji Uzor, you will never be Nigeria president, because the people whom you are selling your people to knows that if they turn around, you will sell them too. That is the law is it the law of reciprocity? The law of reciprocity. You cannot eat your cake and still have it. You cannot be a sellout and be trusted. Oh, you can never be trusted. A law of reciprocity. Orji Uzor, you demonizing Nnamdi Kanu and the movement he started to better the future of your posterity, Orji Uzor. Yet, Orji Uzor, you appearing to be a good man, aspiring to be Nigeria president, and the Igbo will come and vote for you. Any Igbo man voting for Orji Uzor, even if APC gives him ticket, as they are promising him, romancing him with promises of giving him a ticket, and he is getting very, ticklish, thinking that they will give me a ticket. It is my turn. Orji Uzor, the cry you cried in 2023 is just a baby. You're gonna cry again in 2020 what? 2031, because of course you are supporting your man, and because they're giving you some money and some voice, giving you promises. Ask that person giving you promises if he is a free man. Tinubu's administration. Tinubu himself is in a hot soup. He claimed he ran away from social media because he's going to have hypertension. That is an evidence that you are not a good leader. If you run away from social media so that you stop hearing the clamor of your people, you stop hearing what people are crying about, you are not a leader. It is all about your selfish self. What makes you think that you can do it alone? From criticism, you will rise from the ashes of criticism to do the right thing. People have right to criticize you. People have right to call you a criminal because you are handling their own share, of the national cake. And you are not distributing it equally in a way that it will favor everybody without partiality or without being, impartial. Sorry, rather, not partiality, without being impartial. Therefore, people ought to be, revolt and reject you. The only thing you did is you say you run away from social media. Right? That's another thing. So, Ojuzo Carlo, what is your moral ground to say that people died, that something thousand people died? How many people died under your, regime in or under your administration in Abia State? A whole lot of them died. We can look it up. Again, Ojuzo Carlo, were you doing good to Ndabia that someone like Nnamdi Kanu rose up from Abia State? Ojuzo Carlo, if you were a good governor in Abia State, because Nnamdi Kanu is not affiliated with any political party in Nigeria. Had it been he was affiliated to any political party in Nigeria, then you will say that Nnamdi Kanu demonize your administration because he want to support his political party, but he did not. But so tell me, on what moral ground are you standing to claim that Nnamdi Kanu is, or whatever method on Nnamdi Kanu, that he deserve it? What is your moral ground, Ojuzo Carlo? This is a question that I'm asking you. And everyone should be asking Ojuzo Carlo. And it is quite important that we advocate that which is labeling the APC administration a terrorist should not forget Ojuzo Carlo, because it is part and parcel of it. Our APC, candidate or APC administration going to get sanctioned? Of course, a whole lot of them, if not all of them, that is in the APC administration, they are going to get sanctioned by America. And the ruling has been, the vote has worked on Trump's favor to sanction all of you criminals who are supporting terrorism or aiding and abetting terrorism. Ojuzo Carlo, there is a case of something that is happening in Imo State. Recently, police arrested 5 deadly kidnappers. They identified these 5 deadly kidnappers in Imo State. Number 1 person is Ozeru Sabo, 25 years old. Ozeru Sabo, is that an Igbo name, Ojuzo Carlo and Soludo? Muazu Auta, is that an Igbo name, Ojuzo Carlo and Soludo, who claim that it is Christian killing Christian in the eastern region? What's going on? Did I get disconnected? Am I still coming out clear, guys? What am I seeing here? I hope I'm still coming out clear. Someone comment on John Money's blog so that I will see if I'm still coming out clear, because I'm seeing things that are confusing me here. Oh, I think, no, I am not coming out. I think I am offline. Am I? I am really offline. Let's find out why. Oh, I think I'm still online. I'm still online, but I don't know which one. In my screen, I think. Oh, thank you very much, Shidowski. Say we are still online. Okay. So, as I was saying, Ojuzo Carlo and all these people who are basically claiming that the agitation led by Nnamdi Kanu took the life of many people in Biafra land, and the court is not talking about it. So are you saying, because this is now taking us, Ojus Okalo just confessed. Are you aware that that was what happened? Thank you. Thank you, Chinyere. Ojus Okalo simply confessed that what they are looking for is that they want to jail Nnamdi Kanu to put that criminal record on his name. Therefore, when they now say they are going for political solution, he will owe them that. They will have that leverage that you were a convicted terrorist and we rescued you through a political solution. Did you see now the way they were planning this? That's why everyone is running out like from their cobwebs. We are going for a political solution. We are going for political solution. Instead of you, Ojuzo Kalu, if you, because you did not come direct to attack on Nnamdi Kanu, you came as a chameleon, which you are, that nobody will understand the element or the area that you were coming from, Ojuzo Kalu. That's exactly what you did. And now, believing that no one understands the area that you were coming from, Ojuzo Kalu, hence you claim that no one was talking about the killing in the southeast part of Nigeria. They're only talking about police and army. Ojuzo Kalu, that is exactly what you did. And we got the message. You are saying that the sentencing is small, that they should have prosecuted him, or they should have, sent him hanging, because you are trying to make us believe that the judge was not harsh enough. Ojuzo Kalu, you're not a good man. Ojuzo Kalu, you went to abroad. Ojuzo Kalu, you were standing in a public transport in abroad. But Ojuzo Kalu, where you come from, you will never sit next to an ordinary person. Talk more of going in a public transport standing. Ojuzo Kalu, you wouldn't do that, because you did not put a security measures in place that will take care of your security when you are in public, just like it was put together by another, maybe a premier or mayor in a province where you were entering a public transport in Europe. You were a governor, which is like you are like a premier or maybe a mayor in the UK. Now, Ojuzo Kalu, you were first security in Abia State. So you were not able to put security in place so that you will also enter public transport just like you do in Europe. You see why you people are, you people does not have vision, yet you are aspiring to become the Nigeria president. It is just all about you and your friends to brag. I am a first president, and everybody will be obeying you. That's why you were crying like an imbecile, because you wanted to be a president. Showing your stupidity in public. Ojuzo Kalu, you've created yourself the hatred of the people. Any day you are gunning for presidency in Nigeria, no one is going to vote for you from Eastern Nigeria, except people who you lie to, who you use money to buy. That I can assure you. It is better for an man to take the presidency than Ojuzo Kalu takes it. We will know that we are dealing with the enemy. We're not dealing with a homie. Right? Because you are a devil. A man who cannot rise up to speak the truth. Gumi is an honest man. It's just that you Nigerians, and of course you Nigerians, undermine the level of that honesty. What actually, promotes that honesty? What is the thing that is actually making him to be honest like that? Because they know that they are in charge. You can't do them nothing. So therefore, they can tell you that their boys are in the bushes. And in other words, they are using their boys in the bushes to threaten the integrity of the country, telling you that we can just blow a whistle, they will overrun Nigeria, holding Nigeria, racketeering Nigeria. That's what Gumi is doing. Ojus Okalo, you hear that? You have the temerity because of your political affiliation to come and say that your hero, the judgment that they gave him, is not enough. That they're supposed to recognize the people who died in the eastern Nigeria and give him extra judgment, because that's where the angle of your argument was being based off of. You are just forcing yourself to say you are going for political solutions so that people would think you are doing him a favor, even though you hate him. You should have been like that, Fulani mixed blood, Joey Bokwe, and dance. We will understand it. You could have been like other people, inconsequential people who were dancing for the predicament that has befallen their hero. Should have been like them. I was going to respect you more. I actually respect this Udenene Eliozu more than you, because at least he stood on what he stood. He's not beating around the bush. He's a man, even though he's fucked up. He's a man, right? But you, Ojus Okalo, you are a coward. A coward does not lead a nation. A coward does not represent people. A coward sit under their bed. Go and hide your face, Ojus Okalo. Now, Gumi is making it known to the world that it is his people that are in the bush, that he is controlling them not to get out of hand. The day you put Gumi in cell or in jail, all hell will break loose in Nigeria, and the president himself will not be safe. That is now the begs the question. If the president is scared of somebody, who is protecting you? Who are you relying on to protect you against the issue of terrorism? But Tinubu told Asia in London that if he step on toes, they will kill him. It is me repeating Asia verbatim. It is not my word. If it was my word, then you would know. I will say it is mine. And it is not hypothetical. This is reality. So he said to Asia that if I step on toes, I cannot have blueprint. If I step on toes, they will end up killing me. So his security is not rest assured. So why do you think that somebody like that is going to give you assurance on your own security in Nigeria? That is number one, because everything they do is for themselves, not for the people. Now, Nigeria is designated as a country of particular concern, and then the Congress, they have voted in support of that. And now Trump can dish sanctions. Eventually, after dishing sanctions, they can also form a, alliance with the government to help militarily to serve the insecurity, the menace in Nigeria. Yes, but the most important thing is to sanction all these criminals that are killing people, supporting terrorism, leading you at the same time. Your life is in their hands. The Uber man who was killed was a collateral damage. I think they will see him as a collateral damage, or he just was set up by the Nigeria where he pledged his life to die for. They set him up, they unalived him. Maybe they didn't understand that Uba is an Hausa name. Maybe they thought is a Christian name, a place where, some of these people might think that, when they see a name that is having something that looks like Igbo name, Oba means wealth in Igbo land. There are people who are called Oba It simply means wealth in Igbo land. Now, maybe he saw that Hausa name. He was thinking that the mother is an infidel or the father is an infidel married to someone who is not. So he's automatically an infidel. So they have to sell him out or they have to unalive him. They shot him like cowards. An armed man was shot like that. So that is exactly, maybe they thought it was an Igbo person, Oba, ISIS. They unalived him without knowing that he's an Hausa man. Or maybe they knew he was an Hausa man because the way they treat Hausa is the same way they treat Igbos. I'm telling you, the same way they treat the Yorubas. But the Yorubas are in the denial because their power is in the government. They have to defend their power in the government, and now not being or recognizing that there is insecurity in the land that does not know any boundary, whether your power is actually online, and that your power will still grant them access to enter your land because your power is scared of them. These are things that we undermine, and these are things that will bring the demise of the people of Nigeria. As these people are making their way to Delta State, we found them on waters. We found them on the waters. They have a boat now. They are making their ways. Asare Dokubo is also, it looks like Asare Dokubo is also aiding and abetting them. Because Asare Dokubo said that the worst Muslim is better than everybody in Nigeria. Let me play it to you. I'm done addressing this stupid man who cry for political office, and he will still cry again. Now listen to this. I hope it's this one.
Or is Asare Dokubo praising the terrorists because Asare?
Okay, this is the one. I think let me bring it in. Let me bring it in. I think it's on my page. I can bring it in. Maybe that you will watch it. I will try to put it to the play where. All right, let's see it. I'm going to bring it this way so that you will pick it up from there. Now listen what Asare Dokubo said here.
Than the best of other.
All Nigerians. Don't forget that the worst in Nigeria are the terrorists. So
the worst
he
of
said that
Muslims,
the terrorist is better than you all Nigerians.
Is better, is more women than the best of other people. And everybody knows this. When you are a Muslim, the worst of Muslim is better than the best of other people.
In Nigeria. Don't forget that the worst in Nigeria are the terrorists. So
the worst
he
of
said that
Muslims,
the terrorist is better than you all.
all.
Now, let's pick it up from there and not go far. Asare Dokubo said that the worst of Muslim is better than every other person in Nigeria. Now, who is the worst of Muslim in Nigeria? Like, let me declare this. I am not in any way against Islam because I'm not affiliated with them. I'm not affiliated with Christianity. But in a neutral ground. What is Asare Dokubo saying here? That the worst of Islam or Muslim is better than every other person in Nigeria. And the worst that the people are facing right now is the terrorist. True or false? If it is not that, refute it. I want you to refute it. If it is not that, the broadcast is breaking. So, refute it if it is not that. If it is not the worst, if the terrorist is not the worst, kindly refute this, please. But if it is the worst, accept it and move on. We are having a bad crack, right? The broadcast is cracking. So, as I was saying, I know we're having a lot of reception issues most of the time, but we are managing. So, the worst of them is the best of you, every other person in Nigeria. Who is that worst of them? It is terrorist. Religion is foreign in Africa. I cannot use because of religion to go to fight another person. If God is strong enough, he should be able to fight for himself. God cannot send anyone to fight for him. It is stupid for a man to rise up to fight for a God or to fight for a book. Right? So it is stupidity of people to do so. Now, Asare Dokubo also said that if you go to Dubai, the reason why you can park your car, leaving the engine on, and no one is stealing it is because they have Quran. That's what Asare Dokubo said. That is not true. Asare Dokubo knows that it is not true, and he knows very well that it is a Muslim that has presided over Nigeria for most of the time. Those Muslims that has presided over Nigeria, why did they not work on their security cluster to make sure that they are effective? They make sure that they, deploy or, employ advanced technologies like artificial intelligence, such as camera system, security cameras that will monitor the activities of every areas in Nigeria. Therefore, if there is anything that takes place, you will be traced through security camera because they will know the route you are going. Everything is computerized in the Saudi Arabia, including their oil. That's why they are able to track and trace every oil that goes off from their well. So that is Saudi Arabia. It is a Muslim that set it up. Why did your Muslim in Nigeria not set it up, but they are setting up jihad? Because you are confused as Saleh Dokubo. That is where I am going to leave you. So, and the last but not the least, the people saying that the Nnamdi Kanu sentencing is a distraction. Now again, I can tell you categorically, Nnamdi Kanu sentencing is also a kind of distraction. Do you know why? Because they don't want you to continue talking about people who are dying or people in the hands of terrorism. They want you to focus on talking about the bogus sentence read from ChatGPT against Nnamdi Kanu. That's what they want you to be talking about. So the person who said that Nnamdi Kanu's sentence is a distraction, it was not, it made sense. He made a lot of sense because that is a bogus sentencing, just to distract us, to make us to be talking about it and forget to reporting that which is happening in Nigeria. That's what they do. They divide the attention. While you are talking about the sentencing of Nnamdi Kanu, the Fulanis are all over Twitter. By boycotting anybody that talks about the Christian genocide, That's why you will need to also go to Twitter and make sure that our voices are heard. And this is where I'm going to leave it until we meet again. Go through the broadcast, share the broadcast, and then follow the page. Bye for now. Am I missing anything from our topic? Is there anything we're missing from our topic? No, we have covered everything. So we're going to call it a day, guys. See you soon.